Hello and welcome back to our 90-day commitment. And we are so thankful that you're deciding to make this decision to go forward. If you have not already done so, we have 3 prior videos. So make sure you get caught up because that'll give you some clarity and a little bit of a foundation before we move forward. So today's is on going from survival mode to thriving. So let's dive into that a little bit. So what does that even mean? What does surviving mean, and what does it mean to go from surviving to thriving? Well, survival is too often our default. It's a comfort that is uncomfortable. We don't know what it means to move forward. So we just stay in this constant state of fight or flight mode. So surviving is a daily struggle. You're just barely getting by. Whereas thriving is living and thinking abundantly. And again, if you've already watched the previous ones, you know where we're going with this because it's a mindset shift. And before we can move into thriving, you have to do that mindset, to turn up the dial a little bit just to move into that step of thinking. So whereas surviving is really a drag on your every state of being, it's tough to stay alive and keep moving. All you're thinking of is, I just need to put one foot in front of the other. We want to move you into a state of thrival, which is joyful, infectious. You know, you can tell the difference in people if you look at them, whether they're in a state of survival or if they've moved to a thriving mode. So whatever your current circumstance is, we all encounter moments of lull or defeat. Some take longer to admit that. And the thing is that it's okay to admit and to recognize that you're in a survival mode. Because without even recognizing that, how can you move forward? How can you move into a different state of being if you can't even recognize that that's where you're at? So it's time to take stock and inventory where you're at. And then we want to move you into that admitting, recognizing, and then making the decision to switch the dial. It can feel like you are drowning, whether you're in relationship issues, if you have money issues, health crisis, job slump. There can be so many things that can put you into a survival mode. Sometimes things have a domino effect where it just feels like, you know what? Have you ever looked up to the sky and just like, really? Really? I mean, what more can you throw at me? And it's like, be careful what you wish for. So that's why it's so important to switch that dial. Transitioning from surviving to thriving is a far more challenging resolution than joining a gym, taking a moment to meditate. Particularly in these times, we must dig deep to channel that abundance. We need to rewire our brains. It's not just simply, oh, I think I'm going to move into a state of abundance today. You need to, it may start with that, but it takes discipline to keep with it. Just like making that decision to go to the gym, you know, all those fancy New Year's resolutions, how often do they fade out by, say, the end of January? It's a long-term commitment. You might feel ill-equipped, alone, afraid, but yet the alternative of just staying in that survival mode, it's a state of depression. But you know, it can be so hard to move. It's that paralyzing, fearful feeling. And that's not living. It's barely even existing. I know that feeling. I've been there. And I can tell you, that once you make that decision that something's got to change, I'm sure most of you have heard of that. The definition of insanity is doing something day after day, time after time, but you're expecting a different result. Are you ready to dial in to thrival mode? Are you willing to make a change? So with that said, it starts in the mind. And I know that we've kind of repeated this over and over again, but we really need to drive that home. Simply committing to thriving and leaving behind survival mode is the first and most difficult step. There is flourishing on the horizon. It might not turn out exactly how you envision it, but you need to make that decision first. Once you reprogram your brain, it's time to clean up the debris left behind. You know what? You spent all this time in that same survival mode, that patterning, that conditioning. It's going to take a little while to switch. Give yourself grace, but still stick with that decision. Shifting from survival to thrival is a process of rewiring and remodeling the inner and outer landscape of your life. Unfortunately, merely wishing it would happen or complaining about it will not get you there. It takes deliberate, consistent action. I love this quote by Maya Angelou. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. So how are we going to do that? Well, in order to know where you want to go, you got to figure out what it is that you want to go to. So that's where we've touched on this before, but creating that vision board, whether you do it physically on, say, big ass poster board, or if you start out small on just a little piece of paper, if you do it with words. Some of us are more visual, some of us are work better with words. Take out a bunch of words, put them on there on your board, or do it digitally. I've done a digital vision board before. Same idea. It's just getting you to think of what it is you are working toward. Find your purpose. This is what drives us to get up in the morning, to to move forward. So find out what is your passion. If you don't know what your passion is, I got you covered. We both got you covered. We can spark that fire with you, but dig a little deep within yourself. Find out what that joy within you is. And if you have lost all that, start trying new things, because that is where you're going to find out what you like, what you don't like. Remember some of the things that you found joy in. Set your intention every single day to recognize your purpose. Once you unlock that vision, you are going to discover that the one thing that destroys fear is your hunger. Let your hunger to survive, let your hunger to thrive be stronger than what is keeping you in survival mode. For me, personally, it was people telling me that I couldn't accomplish something. Now, that might be due to my German nature, might be due to my Taurus nature, but whatever it is that drives you, find it and fan that flame. Sometimes you need somebody to borrow that confidence and that vision, that fire from, until you can get it on your own. And that's okay, but find something to get it started. Hunger starts when you know your purpose, and will do anything to get there. You will feel ready to decide what you want more than anything else in life. It might feel like war, but it's the first step. then you need to commit to your decision. There's no question about it. This is where you're going. It's like me. I've often heard people say, why don't you get a real job? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why go into coaching? Why help other people? They're not doing anything for you. I've got this fierce passion within my soul that's what I wake up every morning. And that's what tells me that that's what I need to do. You need to recenter mentally. So the action is the key here, because without action, it's just a dream. So we need to move into that. So fear often gets in the way of taking that first step away from us. We are afraid of so many things and it paralyzes us. It paralyzes us. But the moment that you take that control back, you can look fear straight in the eyes and say, I'm doing this anyway. So first step is to formulate and formalize a personal mantra. You know, yourself better than anyone. You have it in yourself to do this. You have love within yourself. Wherever you need support, create a personal mantra which affirms your true nature. I am powerful. I am light. I am love, and I am worthy. Choose a mantra that resonates and repeat it so many times until you believe it yourself. This is about building yourself up. All these little notes, I've told so many different people as I'm coaching them, is start off with little Post-it notes. Put them on your mirror, put them on your dashboard of your car, on your mirror in your bedroom, on your fridge. The key is that it's going to remind you. Again, we're in a digital age. Put some of these as reminders on your phone. Just little messages to yourself. You know what? Man, you are looking gorgeous today. Go out there and be a badass today. Be the best person you can possibly be. You are more than enough. I'm adding on to that, you are enough, because you know what, we leave it at that. I'm stepping it up. You are more than enough. Set goals, be gracious and have gratitude. Write in your journal every day. Let go of expectations. You know what an expectation is? It's a premeditated feeling for, or it's a premeditated disappointment. Do you try to let go of those expectations? What is an expectation for yourself? Evaluate that as well. So we're going to move into eliminating distractions. So Sheyi, would you be able to hop in onto this and share with our audience on this?
Absolutely. So next, of course, once you make your plan, you want to eliminate any distractions that are going to hinder you from taking those next steps. So while you're on this journey, I know last week I talked about the people around you can be the people that are kind of hindering you or motivating you to go the wrong way or hindering you from going the right way. So it's okay to know. A lot of times the quickest way to a burnout is by just not setting boundaries for yourself and just trying to take on too much too soon, which is why we're making sure that we take our time. And I know some of you might be like, come on, let's get to the meat and potatoes, right? But this is why we're taking our time to walk you through this process so you don't get that feeling that this is actually going to be a long-term change for you. So say no to things that are going to drain your energy and that don't uplift you or that don't serve you anymore. Sometimes things served you in the past, but as you're growing and changing, sometimes you need to let some things go. Don't feel guilty and don't feel obligated in explaining yourself. I think a lot of the times when we say no to things, we feel like there needs to be a reason or there needs to be a big elaborate story behind why we said no. It's okay to just say no because you're tired or because you're exhausted or because you're drained. And you don't have to explain yourself or come up with an elaborate story to excuse it. You can just say no, no, thank you. You guys have a good time. Detox from TV. A lot of the times I feel like sometimes we know a movie characters' goals and dreams more than we know our own, right? We get in a movie series and we just get involved in their life and we end up sitting there watching them for hours and kind of losing hours of ours at the same time. So it can be a vortex mentally. It's easy to lose hours just staring at the array of characters' stories, alluring advertisements, and fear-based news reports. I think sometimes too, we get in a downward state sometimes if we were not in the best place in our life and we're watching movies where people are. It can also make us feel like it's not possible for us or kind of make us feel some type of way about it. Unplug from devices and relinquish, stillness. So the average consumer has 4 devices. These devices are often distractions. Sometimes you feel like there's days where you're going from maybe your car screen to your phone screen to your TV screen to your computer, and it's just screen, 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 and you're never just kind of presently in the now and experiencing life. Or if you ever go to a restaurant and you look around and everyone's on their phones and you're like, no one's here. Everyone's here, but no one's here, right? So it's okay to just turn off your phones, unplug, and kind of just tune in with yourself. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, just closing your eyes, turning your phone over, putting it on silent, and just breathing in the now or doing a little stretch, just to start to figure out kind of who you are. Be mindful of how much you complain. So I know Angie touched on this, just making sure that you focus on what you do have and not what you don't have, focusing on what you want and not only what you loathe. You never want to know what you don't want more than what you want, right? So if you don't have something, focus on how to get it. Don't focus on not having it. So that way you can switch into being in love and being in abundance. Never assume. So assumption is the cause root of your ego, and it's not true. So believe that you can be free, believe that you can get there. Don't just assume that it's impossible. Try and then you'll know. So you'll start from maybe I won't to I can't to I want to oh, so how do I do it? If I want to, how? And then okay, let me give it a try. And then sometimes the try stage you might try to reach that other step that I can a couple times. That's okay. You'll reach that I can do it, and then I will do it. So you'll keep doing it, and then did it. So choose to make at least one step today. Maybe you're starting off with I won't, but maybe open your mind up into I want to, or I can't, but we'll keep pushing you into the I want to. So we talked about the mental state. And I think last week we kind of talked on the physical state as well, a little bit about kind of getting out there, seeing nature, doing some free activities around the city that you're in. But we want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself physically, because what you see in the mirror and loving the body you're in, loving the mind that you're in, loving the life around you, everything is they all combine and stack on top of each other and form this thriving, happy state that we want you to be in. So when you're in survival mode, a lot of the times we're just thinking bare minimum. We just want to make it to tomorrow. We rarely think of ourselves, much less pampering ourselves in enjoyment. That's like major back burner, right? So I encourage you while we're on this journey to make that time to take care of you. Put it in your phone, whether it's just a 10-minute walk or go. I know they have like maybe a couple dollar masks that you can buy from like your local Shoppers drugstore or cosmetic. Just put a little mask on for 5 minutes. Take a little bath, little things that can just make you feel a little bit better, to just give you time to breathe. So it doesn't have to be expensive things, but you can go for a walk. Maybe you just pick a song you like and dance around in your living room. It's okay to look silly. Hike, swim, play with your dog, reorganize your room. Make sure you're going for regular checkups. I think, especially now, we feel like, oh, we don't want to go to the doctor unless it's deadly because there's a pandemic. But it's still important to make sure you take care of you, even if there's just a little thing that's bothering you. Maybe it's just getting a massage. Maybe it's going to the local chiropractor. Make sure you're still taking care of yourself and you're not just letting yourself kind of get those little dings, but you're not necessarily going to the repair shop just yet. Make sure that you're taking care of your little things. Drink a lot of water and really take care of your health as well. Be adventurous. Don't be scared to be adventurous. I think that's the other thing right now, and why survival mode is what a lot of people are in right now is because we feel like we have to be in our homes, right? We feel like stuck in our homes and we're not experiencing life. And I know everywhere has different regulations right now, but still go outside. There's a lot of outdoor activities where you can still be spaced out, maybe still feel safe, but still experience something new. So there's so much the world can offer. So try to never stop exploring it. Something that my fiance and I did at the beginning of the pandemic is we said, okay, well, maybe if we can't go internationally, we can tour Canada these next couple of years. So we've gone to a couple different provinces throughout Canada, but maybe that's not an option for you right now, and that's okay. Maybe there's somewhere local you haven't been, right? So like we were saying before, look up those free spots, check out something local. I'm sure there's a place in your city that you haven't been yet or haven't experienced. Learn something you assumed was difficult. So maybe there's like a dance class, a hip hop dance class that you've always wanted to take, but you're like, oh, I can't do that, or I don't have time for that. Make the time. I never believe that you don't have time. If you really want to do something, you'll make the time. You'll move some things around and you'll find a way. Maybe it's cooking a chicken or learning how to knit, right? Just YouTube is the best free strategy for that. Go on YouTube, type in how to knit and take a couple courses on there. And I think that you'll be able to figure it out. Push yourself to the boundaries, out of that comfort zone. I promise you there is comfort in discomfort. You will feel amazing being able to look at something that you thought you couldn't do and then look at yourself doing it. You're going to just feel like you are invincible, and it's going to also motivate you. It's like when they say tattoos are contagious or smiles are contagious, that's also a very contagious feeling. And you'll also realize that you'll start empowering the people around you. When we create our goal and our plan, because next week we're going to be going into goal setting, developing a strategy, and planning out these next 90 days. And of course, I hope a long-term goal for you as far as the next year, 5 years, 10 years from now, because of course you never want to do something for a year or for 90 days and then just stop, right? Because then you'll slip back. It's kind of an uphill battle. So you never want to just stop because you'll start sliding back. So when we create that plan, I want to make sure that you don't just stress about getting there. Sometimes we're just always we just need to get there. We just need to get there. We don't just enjoy the process. So don't worry about the potholes. There probably will be some. It might be a little bumpy road, right? But you're going to enjoy the journey. Look around you and enjoy experiencing life. Take the time to enjoy nature. Just go outside and breathe. Enjoy the trees, the birds, the bees, the rushing water. I think so many times, like I said, we're in our phones. We don't just look around us and take in the breath of fresh air, look at the sky, look at the clouds, and just be grateful that we aren't in a state of panic, or that we aren't in a blizzard, or maybe we are, and it's still okay. We still have a home. We still have this, we still have that. Take that time to just really realize what's around you. Eat your food and put your phone down when you eat your food. Look at your food, enjoy it. Take a couple chews, right? Sometimes we're just stuffing in our face and swallowing. Take the time to enjoy your food. Get lost in a storybook. Maybe instead of going on your phone at night, you pick up a good book and something that is encouraging so that you go to sleep, have great thoughts in your brain instead of panic and the craziness that is social media. Plant something. I think seeing something transform is a really cool thing, and to see something grow, right? So maybe this can also be you blooming a plant. Maybe you should plant a seed physically, but also plant a seed mentally, and you can watch each other grow. You can water it, you can pamper it. That's also going to keep you consistent and remind you to keep watering and growing yourself. So maybe that's something that we can do. Embrace the alone time. Get to know yourself again. I know maybe some of you guys are coming from Angie's divorce support group and you've lost yourself. You've maybe fell into the shadow of somebody else, or you had children and now grown up, or you were just so stuck in survival mode that you forgot what you like to do for fun because you've just been doing stuff that you need to do and not what you want to do. So I implore you to take this time as well to just sit back and say, okay, so all limits aside, what makes me happy? What brings me joy? What do I want to do with my life if there was nothing blocking me? Laugh, live, laugh, love, right? Laughter is a medicine of the soul. So find every opportunity to just be light. I think a lot of times we're just so serious, right? And that's why I think it's important to just, if you're in a glump, in a like the state of just nothingness, pick your favorite song that makes you feel confident and dance around your house for those 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then sit back down. I guarantee you'll have a little chuckle, right? Especially if you just get wild, shake it off. And there's definitely medicine in that. And that's going to be infectious, and that's going to make you pay it forward to someone else. I think if anyone just looks over, regardless of how bad of a mood you're in, if you just looked and someone's just really smiling, whether it's on the road or whether you're in the same room and you see your daughter or your spouse or whoever just get up and start shaking it off and dancing, and they just don't care what they look like, I guarantee you're probably going to have a chuckle and be like, what are you doing? Right? Or shake your head and just a little giggle. No matter how mad you are, I guarantee you'll do it for about 5 seconds. So if you do that and you're that person for somebody else, I guarantee you're going to realize that people are going to flock to you and be like, what is she on? I want a little bit what she's having. And you can pay this forward and be like, hey, watch Angie's video. This is why I feel this way, right? Maybe it is just going up and when you get a coffee, you say, hey, I want to buy the person behind me's coffee. You don't have to buy their whole meal. Sometimes you get kind of anxious. You're like, I don't know what they're buying behind me. I don't want to like commit to buying a 5-course meal, right? But you can just say, hey, I just want to buy their coffee, right? You're going to realize that that's going to make you feel like, look at me, like I'm at you. You're going to know how that would make you feel. Someone else bought your coffee, and you're going to get that exact same feeling by buying someone else coffee. And think, wow, look at me living in abundance, right? We talked about that. If I let money go, there's always more where that came from, and you'll move on with your day, right? Let someone else in during rush hour. That's something that doesn't cost you anything, but you're going to feel great when they give you that wave in the back of the rearview mirror, right? Or roll down their window and just give you that hand. Oh, lovely. Like I feel like I kind of did my good deed for the day. Maybe it's volunteering for a local soup kitchen, right? I think in these times too, we've kind of lost connection with others around us. I think that sometimes when we're in data survival mode, we look around, we're like, why is no one helping me? Or why is no one checking up on me? And we get in a defense mode, or we feel like no one loves us, right? But you need to put yourself in other people's shoes, right? They're probably going through a lot of the same things you're going through, and they're probably thinking the same thing. Why is so-and-so reaching out to me? Why aren't they contacted me, don't they know I'm in survival mode, right? But if everyone's treading water, we're focused on keeping ourselves afloat. We can't help somebody else, right? So this is why this journey is also important, is because if you can get out of survival mode and be into thriving mode, now you can lend a hand and help someone else out of survival mode, but you can't help somebody up until you've lifted yourself up, right? Just like I think Angie mentioned, either week 1 or week 2, you have to put your mask on first, and then you can start getting everyone else's masks on, and you can kind of wake people up from being in this state of survival. Make sure, whether it is physically or virtually, that you spend time with your family during these times. Let them know that the journey that you're going on, let them know that I'm stepping out of survival mode. I'm stepping into thriving mode. I'm excited about this journey. Maybe you've been in a depressing state. Maybe you've pushed some people away. Reconnect with those people and say, hey, I'm sorry, maybe that I've been a grumpy Nancy, let's pick up where we left off. Let things up to you and start reconnecting. Compliment a stranger. I know a lot of the times we are walking by and we just don't talk to others around us as much anymore. But if you see someone that's wearing a nice skirt, say so. If you see someone and they smell nice, be like, oh, you smell nice. What perfume is that? It can be just a quick little thing, or even I like your hair. Just come up with something nice to say to somebody, and you'll exchange that smile. They'll probably compliment you back, and you're going to go off feeling a lot better. And you don't know what that's going to transpire into. Maybe they're in a state of survival, and that little comment just changed the whole trajectory of their day. And then now they're going to do that same thing for somebody else, and it's just going to spread that positivity. So some books I would recommend if you are kind of struggling to get into that state of thriving, or maybe you need just a little push or a couple more suggestions, then The Happiness Project is a great book. It pretty much talks about her year of trying new things to get more happy. You have The Power of Now, and what it's about is it's about just what it sounds like, just coming back into the now and reconnecting with not worrying about the past, not worrying about the future, but just being present and seeing what's around you and absorbing what's around you, and enjoying that experience. The Year of Yes. And I know I said say no, be okay with saying no, but also be okay with saying yes, right? So I think a lot of the times we just say no because it seems like a stretch, or it seems like impossible, or it seems too overwhelming. But be okay with saying yes to things that you would normally say no to, saying no to things that you would normally say yes to, because if you don't change, then you can't expect change, right? So be okay with kind of taking yourself out of those comfort zones. The 3 Magic Words is, again, just a mental book, realizing that if you say you want to and you believe that you can, and you make those action steps, then you will. Limitless is a really, really inspiring book. It's about this gentleman who, as a kid, he fell and hit his head. And he was pretty much told that he was going to be stupid for the rest of his life. He wasn't going to be able to remember much. He kind of went dyslexic, so he couldn't really read and write that well. He was, they put him in like the slow classes, and he completely just changed his mindset. He met someone who told him that he would be able to do it, and he challenged himself. And now he is an author, he's talking on stages, and he just completely reversed everything that he was told by doctors, right? Sometimes we tell ourselves things, we're not told by professionals those things. We maybe tell ourselves, oh, we're silly, we're dumb, we're inadequate, but he was actually told by professionals that he was that he was limited to a certain caliber of lifestyle. And he just completely broke through all of those gas ceilings. And sometimes those negative beliefs, you can use those to fuel you and say, tell me I can't and I'll show you I can. Instead of saying, oh, you told me I can't. Okay, well, if you said I can't, then I guess I can't, right? Sometimes people are telling you that because they think they can't. So they're just pushing their limiting beliefs on you. So you can actually challenge past that. And then the law of abundance. So just again, switching from that survival to thriving. When you're thriving, you're growing, you're building, you're expanding. So in survival mode, you're just kind of protecting what you have. So we're kind of breaking free, we're breaking down those walls that we have, and then we're expanding. We're trying to figure out what we want to add instead of just what we want to protect. So I want you to really think about the last couple weeks that we've had. And I want you to figure out a couple things that you're going to implement. Maybe pick a book from each workshop and read those. And then next week, we're going to work on setting some goals for ourselves, going through the vision board and seeing exactly where we decided we want to go, figuring out what's going to limit us to getting there, kind of developing a little bit of a strategy. And I know that I'll be going into strategies on paying off debt. So don't worry much about coming up with those strategies yourself, but I just want you to kind of come up with some goals. So write down what you're going to do, where you want to be in the next 90 days, and then let's go back and see what we can do day to day. And then we'll start planning things out. I also want you to work on your budget. So just figure out, grab those pieces of mail that you have, and let's figure out kind of just that where you're at stage, because we're going to need that where you're at stage so that we can start taking those daily steps. So I want you guys to be caught up so that as we go through the rest, you can follow along, because we've made it into bite-sized pieces so that it will be easy for you guys to enjoy the journey, live in the now, and still end up where you want to go in the next 90 days and year from now. So Angie, if you just want to close us off, that would be great.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Sheyi, because those are all amazing steps that we need to do going forward. And I don't know about everybody else, but I'm excited to get into those meat and potatoes as well. But you know what? If you want a strong foundation, if you want a strong tree, you got to deal with the roots first. So just like the iceberg too, that, you know, you see just a little bit, but there's all the work at the bottom that needs to be the crux of what we do in order to reach that top. So this is awesome. Thank you so much, Sheyi, again, for helping put this together. Next week, as Sheyi mentioned, we're moving into the goal setting and developing strategies. So if you're not caught up on some of those videos, get caught up now. That's part of your homework, part of your self-care, because you're doing this for you. So thank you so much for watching, for taking this time, for being present, for making the decision to take control of your life. Make sure that you like, comment, because we want to hear what you're thinking of the material that we're putting out there. And subscribe to the videos on the YouTube station, because then you will get a little notice on when the next one is available before anybody else, you know, that little fear of missing out kind of thing. So, but you're not missing out. So thank you again, and we will see you next week. Be blessed.